Oh, look at that. You guys know what time it is. I love that. Hello, welcome to East City Bookshop. My name is Destiny, and I'm the book club coordinator here. It is so awesome to have all of you here. Should I step away? Should I back up? This is better. Okay. Welcome again. I'm so glad that you all are here. Let's give a little round of applause for Laura. Yeah. Awesome. A few quick reminders before we get started. Also, welcome to the virtual audience. Hello. Always got to remember to do that. If this is your first time in the store, restrooms are upstairs and past the cash wrap, so you can make use of those. If everyone could, at this moment, silence your cell phone. That is very 2000s to have to start saying that. So love that. Of course, we are a bookstore and we have tons of Laura's books upstairs for sale. She will be signing after the event. So we would love for you to support Laura and to support the store. And she'll have a little surprise, a few refreshments after. So that should be great as well. Now, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our authors for the evening. Jill Santopolo is the New York Times and internationally best-selling author of The Light We Lost, More Than Words, Everything After, and most recently, Stars in an Italian Sky. Her work has been translated into more than 35 languages. She received a bachelor's from Columbia University and an MFA from the Vermont College of Fine Arts. She is also the author of 3 successful children's and young adult series and works as the associate publisher of Philomel Books. Santopolo travels the world to speak about writing and storytelling. A New Yorker at heart, Santopolo is currently living here in our beloved Washington, D.C. Please join me in welcoming her. Welcome. And our lady of the evening. My paper is like no cooperation. Laura Hankin is the author of Happy and You Know It and A Special Place for Women. Her musical comedy has been featured in publications like the New York Times and the Washington Post, and she is developing projects for film and TV. Ooh la la. She lives in Washington, D.C., where she once fell off a treadmill twice in one day, girl. Her first we first hosted Laura, back in the year of our Lord 2020, when everything was online, but we were still down for a good time. Since then, Laura has become a true friend of the store, and to have Laura back again for this 2000s is more than we could have expected, but all that we hoped for. Please join me in welcoming Laura Hankin.
Hey, this is on. Is that on? Now. Oh,
yeah.
Well, hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out. And thank you to East City for hosting and to Jill for being my combo partner. Is it? I don't know. Well, anyway, we thought that we would start with a little warm-up game just to get us all into the early 2000s mood. So we're going to do a couple rounds of either or. I will say 2 things, people, etc., from the early 2000s. And I want you to clap for your favorite so that we just know what kind of crowd we're dealing with here, and I'll repeat them. Don't worry. So to start, we're going to do Backstreet Boys versus NSYNC. It's important. So if you were an NSYNC person, please clap. Okay. Tepid-ish. What about Backstreet Boys? Oh, me too. I know. I hope this didn't make you hate your neighbor. Now let's move on to something very important, which is kisses in the rain from movies at the time.
Those are very important kisses in the rain.
They are. Well, they both won the MTV Movie Award for Best Kiss, so they're good. We've first got Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst, Spider-Man Upside Down. Yeah, thank you for the enthusiasm there. And then we've got Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling in The Notebook. All right, clap for Spider-Man Upside Down. Clap for Rachel and Ryan. It was
pretty close.
Yeah.
I think that was even.
I which makes sense to me. They're both so good. And especially as like a teenage girl, I was very moved by them. All right. Last one of these. Britney Spears awards show moments. So let's do Britney dancing with this snake at the VMAs, or Britney making out with Madonna and Christina Aguilera, also a different VMAs, I think. Okay, the snake. Yeah, I mean, they're both good. And the makeout. There's like a really loud or enthusiastic squeal back there. I love it. Yeah, both so good.
So good.
Okay, and then very quickly, one more little game to start. It's going to be a little round of name that song, and the winner gets a prize. So I'm going to just start reciting song lyrics from an early 2000s bop. The moment you know what it is, shout it out, and you will win a prize. All right. First one. 5 years from now, she sits at home. Okay, you win a copy of the High School Musical CD. Pass that back.
That was mad impressive.
We didn't even get to she's feeding the baby. She's all alone. All right. Second and final one before we actually have a conversation. Lucky that my breasts are small and humble. Yes. You win a printout of the paparazzi photo of Lindsay Lohan, Britney Spears, and Paris Hilton in a car. Pass it back. Congratulations. Yeah. Whenever, wherever, by Shakira, in case anyone didn't know.
That was amazing. That was amazing. I kind of want to do that the whole night.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't even know what I was trying to pick songs that were not like so popular that people would immediately know, but clearly I failed at that.
No, but not everybody. Like it was, I think it was good. I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
I also think you did a great job on the Daydreams, which, oh my God, blew my mind when I read it.
Jill.
No, it totally did.
Thank you
It
so
totally
much.
did. Oh, wait, hold on. Before I say anything else, just by show of hands, so I know not to spoiler things, how many people here have read it yet? I know it's like came out 5 minutes ago, but just, okay. Right.
No spoilers then.
Then definitely no spoilers. But there was like a mystery piece that I'm just going to say that like when it came out, what actually was happening, I was like, wow.
Oh,
so anyway.
Thank you. And I'm so glad that you're here with me because I don't know if you remember this, but before the pandemic shut everything down, like Happy and You Know It hadn't come out yet. But you and I were communicating and you had a paperback launch for one of your books and you asked me to be your conversation partner. And it was like my first big event and it was so nice. And I remember one of your audience members like got a tattoo of your words or something.
The cover of The Light We Lost.
Yeah.
Right there.
So she's legit.
But so I have so many questions. I'm not going to get too into the nitty gritty because it's been out for 5 minutes, but I just wanted to start before we get into anything with, could you tell the audience just like a little bit about what they need to know for our conversation, just a little bit about the Daydreams?
Yeah. So the Daydreams is about the stars of an early 2000s TV show who, at the height of their fame, totally implode on live TV in the most scandalous way. And now it's 13 years later, you know, they were teens / early 20s back then. And now they've all gone very different directions. One of them is a movie star. One of them is a cautionary tale. One of them is like an athlete's hot bored wife. And one of them actually left to become a corporate lawyer in DC. So yeah, they are forced to come back together for a reunion special by the network. And it could potentially offer them the redemption that they crave, or it could destroy them all completely. So that's the Daydreams.
and it's awesome. It's really awesome. So one of the things that I really loved was how you took people when they were teenagers and then people when they were like older now in their like early 30s.
Yeah.
And sort of juxtaposed their lives and sort of showed how they got from one place to the other. And I know that you have been musical your whole life and all of these characters who ended up in different places started out as singers on this reality TV show. So I was wondering, is there any piece of autobiography here? Have you ever auditioned for a TV show?
Well, I started out as an actor. I was like a big theater nerd growing up. And I did have like one potential close brush with fame, which was that when I was 18, I went to this open call for this big Broadway musical, Spring Awakening, if people remember that. And I got called back like a few times for the lead, which Lea Michele played her. This was like a replacement to replace Lea Michele. Impossible. But I remember they like gave me at the final callback, they gave me a sheet of paper that was like, I had to sign that I was over 18 and I was willing to show my boobs on stage every night.
Wow.
And like simulate graphic sex because this show is very sexual. And of course, at the time, you know, I was like, how could fame ever be bad? I'll do it. Even though like I hated my body. But I mean, I was a teen girl growing up in the early 2000s. So yeah, I'm very glad that I didn't actually end up getting it and like totally bombed the callback immediately after that. Because when I look at, you know, some of these people who did become famous at a younger age, I think like they really struggled in the years since. Yeah. And I like my life. So, yeah.
So were any of the characters in your book based on those real people who struggled or?
I would say it was an inspiration, like seeing some of the real life stories. But I tried not to have anything be too closely based on one person. I wanted the characters to feel like they could coexist in the world alongside like Britney Spears and Lindsay Lohan and all of that, rather than being like a direct doppelganger of them. But yeah, I mean, definitely looked at like the Britney Spears versus Justin Timberlake of it all was a very good example of how like women and men were treated differently in the spotlight back then. Also loved Jessica Simpson's memoir, Open Book. Yeah, people read it. It's so good. It's like this tell-all that's incredibly smart. But also like very dishy and gossipy. So like you find out that John Mayer is a huge jerk, which I guess we all knew. We know. Yeah.
So what did you do to prepare? I know this wasn't one of the questions on the list that I gave you, but
no, it's
what did you do to prepare to write this book? Like, did you read a whole bunch of memoirs?
I read memoirs. I watched like old paparazzi footage. There's this awful video online. You can go watch it, of like the paparazzi swarming the High School Musical girls when they're just like trying to get some food. And you can just see their souls like slowly being crushed over the course of the interaction, you know? And then there are just so many different interviews and magazine articles of the time that I read. And it was like shocking to see what was okay to say, you know. In Vanity Fair, I think there was some article talking about a pop star holding the microphone like she was gobbling a turkey leg. And it was just like, this is Vanity Fair. What? Yeah.
So did any of those moments inspire the book? What sort of led you to write this story?
Yeah, I think during the pandemic, I got really into early 2000s nostalgia, like a lot of us did, because it seemed so comforting in a time when everything was so screwed up. And yeah, just notice it was like a little bit around the Free Britney time when that was gaining traction, that really inspired me to start looking at this. But also, I will say that I've been interested in the idea of a reunion of like a group of famous people who have all gone in different directions and had different levels of success ever since Destiny's Child came on the Super Bowl with Beyonce. And I was like, what is that like for Kelly and Michelle? Because she,
Yeah.
Beyonce had gone on to become
Beyonce.
so huge. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So this is the third book you've written now. And has the process been the same for you for all three books?
I think I outline a little bit more. Each time I know a little bit more what's going to happen in the book before I dive into it. There was actually like a first secret book that people don't really know about, and that's fine. You don't need to read it. But that one, I truly went into it being like, two girls, friends, have fight, make up. And that was like all I knew going in. Whereas with the Daydreams, I would say I had like 3 to 4 pages of general outline and knew the major twists. And it does make it a lot easier when you're not just groping around in the dark. Totally.
Yeah. I feel like at least when you can point yourself in a direction, then you then you kind of at least have something to write toward, even if you don't know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
So are there any specific scenes in the Daydreams that you feel really like are your favorites or you had a really good time writing? And if so, would you want to read it for us?
I think a lot of the scenes that I really love are towards the end of the book. So I don't want to spoil anything, but there was a scene that I wrote early-ish on. And when I wrote it, I was like, oh, I think I have something here. So I could read a little snippet from that. I also considered reading the snippet of just like fake fan fiction that I wrote, but I thought I might be throwing you all in too deeply. So in this, Kat, who is the corporate lawyer in DC, who has been like trying to escape Hollywood, Summer, who's the cautionary tale, has come to try to convince her to come back for the reunion special. And they go out to this dive bar in DC, and there's some karaoke happening in the corner. Apparently this is like a real bar. I didn't realize when I wrote it, but then Dave, my husband, was like, oh, what's the place called? Oh no, it's a place that has karaoke and is divey and fun. So all right. Summer is going to go do some karaoke. Downing the rest of her drink, she hops to her feet, spine lengthening. Then she strides over to the microphone as the Whitney Houston ends, brushing past a couple of women studying the booklet of songs. Hey, says one of the women at the song booklet, we're supposed to go next. She cuts herself off as she registers Summer's face. Oh my God. Is it you? She wobbles a little bit, her voice turning to a squeak. Is it really? Summer winks at her. Can you put in a new kind of wish? Obviously. She elbows the woman next to her. Find it! The second woman flips through the book furiously for the code, then punches it into the karaoke machine. Recognition hits the patrons in waves as the bouncy chords of the song begin, and Summer tosses her hair, ready to sing one of her more famous Daydreams solos. A scream rings out from one corner of the bar. People begin to flock to the lip of the little stage, some of them clasping hands. What? A guy standing in front of me asks the woman next to him. What's going on? I don't get it. Yeah, you know it's true, Summer begins to sing. Something has changed ever since I met you. Our lyrics did not win any awards. Who is she? That same guy asks his companion. It's Summer Wright, she hisses back, before calling out to the stage, my queen! Summer waves at her, then swivels her hips, closing her eyes as she continues. Her pure warble is raspier now, but there's something magnetic in her performance all the same. She can still hold a crowd in the palm of her hand, although not necessarily because of the sheer force of her talent. Maybe it's like watching a train wreck, or the awareness that a train wreck could be coming, because this particular train has a habit of speeding out of control. Who? The guy says, and his companion lets out an annoyed grunt. Squeaky clean TV star from the Daydreams? He shakes his head. She, ruined the live finale? Another head shake. Her voice grows higher pitched with incredulity. Nipplegate? She had a meltdown, another woman says, leaning in, and we never got closure. It was like, the first woman continues, Imagine that the office unexpectedly ended right before Jim and Pam kissed, and you just had to live without ever seeing it. I think I'd be fine with that, the guy says. Okay, well, fuck off, Todd, the first woman says, and turns back to Summer.
Amazing.
Thanks.
So listening to you read that just reminded me that you did the audiobook, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I did part of the audiobook. I actually got like a multiple narrator cast for the audiobook. For
Amazing.
This. Yeah, so I read Kat, who's the main narrator, but then there are like other voices that come in throughout, and they're really good. I just listened to a little bit of theirs today.
That's so awesome. And did you write the music to the songs that you wrote in the book?
I have like vague melodies in my head for some of the songs, just because I feel like writing lyrics without any sort of melody is very difficult. But they're awful. So, yeah.
You're not going to put out they're not in the audiobook, are they?
No. I remember once, like when I was doing the Happy and You Know It audiobook, I was like, should I sing the lyrics? And the producer was like, no.
That's so funny, because I did my audiobook for everything
Nice.
after. And I said, should I sing the lyrics? And he said, yes.
Wait, really?
So I'm singing on that audiobook.
Everybody go and download the audiobook for everything after. Also, I feel like not that many authors read their own audiobooks. So I remember actually talking to you when I was trying to put myself in for the Happy and You Know It audiobook to be like, will they let me do it? How was this experience?
Well, and you're actually a real actress. So I feel like your audiobook skills are definitely better than mine.
I mean, they did make me audition for.
Me too.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know what happened with you, but when they listened to my audition, they were like, oh, I guess you do have performing experience. All right, you're allowed to. Because I heard that oftentimes what they do when authors say that they want to read their own book is they like have them audition so that the author comes to the realization themselves that it's like harder than they thought. Yeah.
That's really funny. I didn't know that, but that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
All right. I need to cheat sheet again and look at my questions here.
Yeah.
Okay. So you I think you mentioned it before, and I was trying to calculate when exactly you'd be writing this book, but it was like heart of COVID and maybe like right after.
Yeah.
The like heart of COVID part, when it was still COVID. I mean, it is still COVID, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I started thinking about this one in like the summer of 2020 and really dove into writing it in the fall of 2020. So it was like COVID and the election
At the
same time, which means I really went down some research rabbit holes. You know, I was just like, real world bad, Jessica Simpson good.
So, I thought it was interesting because like you set so much of this book in the early 2000s. And I was wondering if there was some sort of like conscious or subconscious, like escape from the now. Like, I don't want to write about right now. I want to write about another time and another place.
I think that's probably right. And even the stuff that's in the present day, because I would say quote unquote present day, because over half of the book is taking place, as they're doing this reunion. I was like setting that in 2018 because I don't want to mess with the pandemic. Like, I don't know how to write about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My most recent book, The Now, is 2017. Like,
yeah.
I was like, I'm not going there.
I think it's a huge trend with like books that are coming out. Everything is just set in 2017, 2018, 2019.
And it's kind of like, what do we do now afterward? I don't know.
Yeah.
You just skip over this time period.
Yeah.
We're going to start setting things in like 2025.
Well, what will the world be in 2025?
Who knows?
I remember like during the pandemic reading a review of a book that had come out in like mid 2020 and was set partially in mid 2020. And a reader was like, she didn't mention the pandemic. And I was like, she wrote the book in 2018.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's hard though. Like I feel like now you can't really set anything in the future anymore because you just don't know what it's going to be like.
Yep. Yeah. It just becomes speculative fiction.
Yeah, totally. Or like alternative future histories. I don't know.
Yeah.
So speaking of books that we write in the future, is there anything you're working on now? Are you the kind of writer who jumps right in, or do you take some space and time?
I I'm in revisions for a new book that's set to come out in 2024.
Oh my goodness.
Well, in part because, the publishing calendar takes a long time. So I turned in my final draft of this book in February of last year. And I feel like if you have a whole other full-time job, but if I was not working on another book, all I would be doing was driving myself wild, like wondering how the Daydreams was going to do. And also I need money. So I wrote, another book that hopefully the plan is like finish revisions of that, have a baby, have that book come out.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Perfect time. Perfectly timed.
Yeah. It does actually deal a tiny bit with the pandemic because it takes place from like 2013 to 2023. But I tried to not go too deep into that.
Can you tell us a little more about it, or is it still secret?
I'm not sure how much I'm really supposed to say, but I'll just say stuff to you anyway, because you're here and I'm so excited. It's more of a love story than I've written previously, although also about like friendship and, that weird period of time from your mid-20s to mid-30s where you're like, everybody's moving and at different paces and you're wondering what you're doing with your life. And it is very loosely inspired by the time that I had to walk down the aisle at my friend's wedding with a guy who had given my book 1 star on Goodreads.
No way.
Yes, we were maid of honor and best man.
Wait. Did you two know each other before?
I think we'd met like once and he bought the book to support his friend's friend. And then he was like, not my thing, 1 star.
There are some times where maybe it's better to keep your thoughts to yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe one of them. That's okay. I'm now really excited for this book because that is just an incredible experience to have. Did he know that you knew that he gave the book 1 star?
Yes, because I think this was my first like little book. So I wasn't getting very many reviews and I hadn't learned yet that as an author, you should stay far away from Goodreads for your mental health. And
literally as far as possible.
Yes. Sometimes I'll go and check just to see like how many people have added it to their want to read shelf. And I like cover the vast majority of the screen with my hand. So I can't see what the rating is or anything like that. But I saw the rating from him and I was like, friend, is this, your husband to be's best friend? And she gave him a talking to and made him delete it. And this was before the wedding. So he like must have known that
goodness.
I knew.
Oh my goodness.
And then I like got a little drunk at the dance, but we both had to like give speeches. And my speech was better than his.
Of course.
I got a little drunk and on the dance floor I was like, oh, what would you rate my speech?
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
I hope that entire scene, like word for word, is in your new book. Pretty much.
There's a lot of
Pretty
that.
much.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, we're getting the green high sign, which means it's time to turn the questions over to all y'all. So I am going to call on people and then you can ask questions. I'm assuming for Laura,
or for Jill,
but we're both here.
Yeah.
But yeah, Laura's the lady of the hour. So does anyone have any questions? Okay. How are we going to do this? I'm going to say person all the way back there who's wearing a white sleeve. It looked like on your, yes.
If I could reboot a teen show of the 2000s, what would it be? Oh, this is so tough because I do feel like some have been rebooted and have been kind of disappointing. And I've been like, I wish they hadn't rebooted Gilmore Girls. But I would be into the OC, like a new the OC with Adam Brody making cameos or like playing a very large role. Just Adam Brody, honestly.
I think that's fair. Right here. Yes.
You all got the chance to cast this for the movie. Who would you select for the main role?
if I got a chance to cast this for the movie, who would I select for the main roles? Okay, keeping in mind that I don't want to influence how anybody sees any of the characters in the book. I feel like for Kat and Summer, I have long lists of who they could be. But I think for Kat, the sort of snarky lawyer who played the mean girl back in the day, I honestly think Selena Gomez could do a very good job of that with like her deadpan thing.
Oh, yeah, she'd be good.
Yeah. And Amanda Seyfried as Summer has that like ethereal quality, but more going on. I think as Liana, the best friend turned like bored athlete's wife, Kiki Palmer would be amazing. And then for Noah, this is the one that I was thinking of when I was writing the book in some ways. Not that I based anyone off of anybody else. He's a little too old to play it now, I think, but Ryan Gosling has that like started out on the Mickey Mouse Club and now is like a very respected actor. Also, I can't wait for the Barbie movie.
That's going to be awesome.
I know.
The image that they showed of the movie with her foot, where it looks like it's the exact shape of the shoe.
Yes.
I like stared at that for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, like how did they do it? Is it CGI or like was she holding on to a bar?
Something?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm guessing CGI, maybe?
I don't
know. It's going to be great.
It is.
All right. Next. Yes, all the way back there.
Oh, are there any albums that I recommend pairing with reading the book? I did make a whole playlist on Spotify, just like bangers from the early 2000s that people recommended to me. So I'm happy to share that with anybody who wants it. But I think like, you know, any Britney is good. The High School Musical soundtrack. Yeah, you've got what you need. All you need to do is find a CD player. Yeah, any of the boy bands too.
Right here.
What is the worst outfit that you remember wearing during? Actually, at the time you were like, okay.
Yeah. I had this like spaghetti strap camo tank top. I don't know why I was like camouflage for me, you know. And then I think that paired with a pair of sweatpants that said like angel on the ass. Yeah, walking around being like Adam Brody's gonna fall in love with me.
The words on the butt sweatpants were like really a thing.
Yeah, you needed to draw attention.
Yeah.
I will say I always hated wearing low-rise jeans though, because like they inevitably just slip down and expose your butt. And I remember okay, I'm just gonna tell this story. I remember there was one time in middle school when someone came up to me, like somebody had just gotten a camera phone and somebody else was like, I heard that Ramsey took a picture of your ass crack in class because like, you know, your jeans had fallen down. And I spent the whole day being like, my life is ruined. And then it turned out it was actually another Laura, but like,
oh my goodness. You're like, it could have been me. It could have just as easily.
I mean, yeah, I was walking around like in those jeans all the time. So
because it was like short shirts and low jeans. Now I feel like there's short shirts, but higher jeans.
Yeah. Or like, I guess low-rise jeans are sort of coming back, but at least we can maybe wear tunics. Never again.
Any other questions back there? Yes, all the way back. Yeah.
Oh, how did I choose the cover art for the book? It was actually a bit of a process. The team is like the cover art design team is very, very talented. But they gave us a couple options that like weren't quite right. And then they gave us one that was really cute. And I was like, ooh, I love this image. Maybe this is the right thing. It felt very High School Musical. It was like 4 teenagers sort of posing in this like really cute way. And so we went with it. And then my editor was actually like, no, this is not right. We must find something that's like a little bit darker and more interesting and draws you in, because otherwise everyone is going to think that this is just like plain or straight up YA book. And parts of it take place when they're in their teens. The majority of it is when they're
no, it doesn't feel like a YA book at all inside. And I think it doesn't look like it now.
Yeah. Yeah. And the moment they were like, all right, note taken, back to the drawing board. We'll give you a few more options. And they sent this one over and we were like, perfect, run with it, go. And I'm obsessed with it. I think it's so good.
The colors are awesome too, because you have the like really poppy green. Like, I feel like it's actually the East City Bookshop.
I actually sent them the
color.
East City logo.
Right.
It's like, I want to evoke this.
Like you really see that from anywhere.
Yeah. Well, here's hoping people walk into a bookstore and are like,
Yeah, like,
ooh, yeah.
You have any other questions out there? Yes.
Started your writing career look like, how did you figure out like how to get an editor and how to get an agent and like were you writing before that and what did you start?
Yeah. I was like trying to be an actor. And I decided that I needed some creative outlet that I could control and do on my own time. So I decided to just try writing a book. And my roommate at the time was also doing it. So we would have like a little writers group around our kitchen table, which was great. And I wrote this whole novel, the first one that no one needs to read, and sent it to some people that I knew who like were either friends from college who were starting to work as assistants in the publishing world, et cetera, and was like, what do you think of this? And it turned out that like somebody that I knew like that passed it on to somebody else, and they passed it on to somebody else, and an editor was like, I'm interested. That does not happen normally. And I think also in a way, maybe like that shot me in the foot because I didn't have to work on it as much as I probably should have. But, normally the process is like you would query an agent, and then the agent would take it to editors. But yeah, this one I got an editor first, and then an agent was like, hello, I'll represent you. Give me 15%. But like that one came out and it did not great. And then I wrote a whole other one being like, oh, no problem. Now I'm in, I'll just always be in. Right. And that one like got rejected from everywhere. And my agent was like not the right fit, it turned out, because he wouldn't have picked my work out of a pile. So then I really had to kind of go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, what kind of stuff do I want to write? What kind of person do I want to represent me? But there were some low moments in there where I considered giving up before having, what happened. So, yeah.
I feel like there's always a roller coaster story of like writing. It just, there are real highs, there are real lows, and you don't always know that from like watching someone's social media or following them or even hearing them talk. Oftentimes people don't share the less pretty parts of it.
Yeah, it's astounding the number of published writers who have like unpublished books in a drawer somewhere.
So many. I mean,
yeah,
like so many.
Yeah. So it's hard, but don't give up.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, honestly, like for the success of it, probably just a random background actor. Cast the big roles with celebrities. But if I was gonna play one of the 4 leads, I think it would be Kat. And she was super fun to like voice in the audiobook too.
Do you feel extra connected to her now that you voiced her?
Yeah, I do. I'm like, I'm the bitch. Yeah.
That's a great question. What is our ideal atmosphere and setup to write a book?
You want to go first?
So I've done my best writing at like a hotel somewhere or on a train or on an airplane or somewhere where there are no distractions. There's no like thought in the back of my head of like, oh my God, I have to go do the laundry, or this room is a mess, or I should make that eye doctor appointment that I've been putting off for a month and a half or whatever, because I'm somewhere else. Like I'm somewhere out of my usual space.
Yeah. I agree. Also, did you know that Amtrak was offering like
Yes.
artists residencies for a while? They're just
It's
like
true.
pay for you to take trains around the country and write.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's good because their Wi-Fi is questionable. So you really just have to sit there and write.
yes. I'm the same way. Like, obviously, you can't get away that often. But I think like the moments when I get the most done are lock myself in a hotel room for 24 hours. Like, I used to be able to go to my grandma's house and like just never connected to the Wi-Fi. And you can just get into it in a different way.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Any other? Yes.
Or something that like you already remember that you knew that it was or like anything that was like
Was there anything from the early 2000s that delighted me fashion or culture wise? And I was excited to write about. Question from another DC author here. I think when I was like, oh, I got to have an AIM scene, AOL Instant Messenger, I got really pumped to do that. and the fan fiction forums. When I decided I was going to write some fake fan fiction for this TV show, I used it as an excuse to like go read old Glee fan fictions between like Santana and Brittany. And that was really, really fun. Yeah.
Super cool. Any other questions out there? I have one more for you.
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts on the Britney Spears musical?
Oh, Once Upon a One More Time.
Yeah.
Is that it? Has anyone here seen it? Oh, okay. We got to talk about it after. I haven't seen it. I mean, it sounds fun. Have you seen it?
No, I have not.
I heard that it was maybe like, it felt like it was written in 2016 or 2017, in terms of being very girl bossy, but I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And I would, if I had an opportunity to go see it, I obviously would. What about you? What do you think?
I'm excited. I feel like I really loved the Mamma Mia ABBA musical, like back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited.
I rewatched the Mamma Mia films recently and it was a delight. And like when I was in the first trimester and just like feeling very hormonal and sick all the time, I would occasionally just like put on the Mamma Mia soundtrack and sadly dance around alone in the apartment. Yeah.
You're doing better now.
Yes, thank God.
I think that's it for our conversation piece tonight, but I know that you're going to be signing a ton of books.
Yes, and we have champagne and other drinks and cupcakes and fruit gushers that we'll put out, and people should feel free to hang out until what time? Like, we'll see. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jill, for talking to me. And everyone check out her new book, Stars in Italian Sky.
Please, totally do. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is thank you to the authors. Can we do one more round of applause? Who doesn't love applause? Thank you so much. So I'm gonna be very cringe right now. It is the former middle school teacher in me. If you have a book right now, I'm gonna ask you to hold it up, and I'm gonna have you two pick up this book, hold it together, and face me this way, and the audience will be behind you, and we're gonna get an awesome photo. I'm all about the photo ops, y'all. Oh, look at all those daydreams. Oh, wonderful. Okay, 3, 2, 1. All right, I'll do one more. All right, now quick video. Be hype. Oh, yeah. All right, thank you. That looks so great, y'all. Okay. All right, here's how we're going to do this. If you've ever been to an ECB event before, you know that we absolutely need your help with the chair so that we can get the signing line ready to go. We have tons of copies of Laura's book and Jill's book upstairs, so they can both sign them for you. So that's just an FYI. We need for you to fold the chair. Sometimes it can be a bit of an IQ test. If you need a little help, we can help you out. You can just put them on the side, and then we'll start forming the line right here in a second.